Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank God. So, how many times has this annual parade taken place in New York?
This year was the 49th year of the parade.
Well, the 50th. The 50th is coming. What can you tell us about the logistics behind this really enormous event?
Everybody should understand that this parade is a very expensive proposition. It costs us about $1 million to put on this parade annually. So we have a full team within the organization that just focuses on the parade for months on end. We had more than 200 organizations, groups marching in the parade, 17 marching bands, more than 30 floats, and about 35,000 plus marchers who were involved. It takes a tremendous amount of logistical know-how in order to make this work. And in fact, the producer of the parade, whom we hire, is a fellow who has produced 12 of the New Year's Eves in Times Square here in New York. So we're comparable. This event is comparable to any major event in the city of New York, and those who are viewing this certainly understand how New York is just such a massive place, and considering doing an event in this kind of a venue, you really must know what you are doing, and Baruch Hashem, we have the right team.
So that's the materialistic side. How about the idea, the idea behind this annual event? What are the messages you wish to convey?
Our objective is to convey a message to two different communities, or maybe even three. One is internal to the Jewish community of New York, that there is support for Israel here in New York on such an extensive level. Secondly is to the non-Jewish communities of New York and of America, because we broadcast this event, this parade, and JCRC started broadcasting the event 2 years ago. This is the third year we broadcasted on Fox, and it's also streamed on the web so it can be seen all around the world. But here in America, we want people to understand the depth of support for Israel here in New York, particularly among American Jews, but not exclusive to American Jews or New York Jews. And finally, we want to convey a message to Israelis, to let Israelis know that they have such support here in America. Many Israelis feel alone, they feel abandoned, and they shouldn't, because there's such a full breadth of supporters of Israel, internal to the Jewish community and external to the non-Jewish communities as well. And just thinking about it, this is the largest event in the world in support of public event in the world in support of Israel. For the fact that there are more than 35,000 marchers is indicative of that depth of support that there is, and solidarity, support for and solidarity with Israel and with the people of Israel.
Now, how about in terms of the security arrangements? That must have been also a big issue as you were preparing for the event.
The answer is yes. I mean, the things that I can talk about are the things, of course, that I cannot talk about. What we have here in New York, particularly with this organization, we're known as the JCRC, that we have a relationship with the New York Police Department, and through them with other law enforcement agencies. And the cooperation with NYPD is very extensive, and particularly around this parade after the Boston Marathon bombing. There was a more visible presence at this parade of uniformed officers, but there were also plainclothes officers, men and women, throughout the crowd as well. And for the fact, now we're speaking after the parade, that there wasn't even one incident throughout the entire parade, I think shows the professionalism of law enforcement in New York, particularly on the part of the New York Police Department. They're just truly outstanding. There were a couple of people, it was pretty warm outside. The weather was hot, as you might recall, but there were a few people who just fainted in the heat. But in terms of security issues, the answer is that there were none, and we attribute that to the truly outstanding role that NYPD played. Of course, we had our own security team that we hire for this parade, and I can't speak too much about that publicly, but the answer is we were covered on multiples of levels.
Now, these days, we're hearing about boycotts against Israel. We know that there are lots of pressures against artists who wish to come and perform in Israel. Did you feel any pressures against this pro-Israel activity?
Not really. No, I mean, this is New York, and the degree of support for Israel that we work on 24/6 during the course of the year is very reliable. And the answer is no, there weren't any groups that didn't want to march in the parade. In fact, for the first time, and this is very significant, for the first time we had a West Point honor guard. So the United States Army in uniform from West Point marched at the beginning of this parade. So it's lehefech, it was just the opposite. Rather than people boycotting, there were groups that actually joined. There was an evangelical group that marched in the parade this year. People want to participate with us, and all the politicians were there too, from Mike Bloomberg to Governor Cuomo to Senator Schumer, among many, many others, Jewish and non-Jewish.
Michael Miller, Executive Director and CEO of JCRC New York, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, and I hope that next year will be as successful as this year. And please, I am very thankful to you. You're thanking me. I'm thanking you for this interview, so that more Israelis will know that there's so many of us here in New York who are with them, who hold hands with them, and march together with them in support of Israel's cause.